Hey, good morning, guys. I want to talk to you guys about a gentleman that we met yesterday. His name was Ray, and Ray came all the way from Florida on a Greyhound and then took the train out to Long Island to see his sister at Good Sam. So we're at Lidl and we're cashing out, and I hear this conversation happening with this gentleman, Ray, who we met then, and one of the cashiers. And so the gentleman was telling Ray, listen, that's too far. You can't walk from here. So I step in and I ask Ray, I said, would you like us to give you a ride there? And so he agreed. Now, I did that because this gentleman needed help. I knew nothing about him. He also didn't look dangerous. So I wouldn't recommend you just doing this for anybody. But after he agreed, we finished packing up our groceries, and the Spanish woman walked up to me and she asked me if I spoke Spanish. So I told her un poco, right? Just a little bit. And so then it's a little bit of a blur, but she either said that I was an angel or that I'm being watched over by angels. So she said one of those two things, and then she told me to keep doing what I'm doing. In that moment, I got super emotional. I was like ready to start crying. And so I couldn't even say thank you to her because I needed a few moments to collect myself. And then I was able to say thank you. So we walk right to the car and I get the address from him. I ask him a few questions. He explains his story, what he's doing out here. This dude had no game plan. He basically just bought tickets and was like, all right, I'm showing up there. And he didn't realize that his sister was not doing well enough that she wasn't returning back to her home. So he was planning on staying there. The typical guy thing, he didn't plan too well. And I'm not saying all guys, but I could see me doing something similar to that. So we get Ray to the spot. And it was like 8 miles away, so there's no way he could have walked that. But we get Ray there, and I asked Selena, I said, listen, can you just walk him in, make sure everything's okay? And I was afraid maybe something happened to his sister where, maybe she's not here anymore, and this guy would just dropping him off and then leaving. So he goes, let me give you something. And so I told Ray, I said, listen, I don't need anything. So he said, no, let me do it. This part is very important. If you are asking for abundance, it's going to come to you in a bunch of different ways, and you are not to deny it. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is a kind gesture that he was doing on his behalf because he felt like what we did for him was worth giving us some money. Okay, so the first thing is, if you're asking for abundance, let it flow. The money's gonna come. And listen, quick one deny, and then the second time I said, okay, no problem. So then we leave Ray there, and my wife leaves her information. She leaves her cell phone number, and now we're like racking our brain, like, what are we gonna do with this guy? Like, he really has no game plan. I don't know how much money he has on him, if he's got credit cards to stay at a hotel. I don't know what he's planning on doing. So now we're like thinking, like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, either we're gonna find this guy like a hotel to stay at, a motel or something. Worst case scenario, you might stay with us. It was crazy. It was just in the moment, I couldn't really think of too many other solutions. So that's kind of what we were like thinking about. So Ray spent the day with his sister, and then we get a phone call. So my wife left the number, and it's Ray. He's ready to leave. So the woman talks to my wife and says, hey, listen, he's ready to leave. And we said, we'll be there in 15 minutes. We'll pick him up. We'll at least get him to a place. So I started researching like hotels in the area where we can get him that he could still be close to his sister, that in case he needed to do like an Uber or something, or if we had to take him, that we could, and he wasn't too far away. So we get there, and then Ray sits in the car, and I asked him, hey, Ray, where are we going to eat? And he said, I don't want any food. Just take me to the train station. And he was pretty firm when he said it. So here's the thing. With me thinking about it, if I was in his situation, I can only gather that seeing his sister there like that hurt him so much that he just wanted to leave. So I didn't want to just take him to the train station. I didn't feel like it was the best thing for Ray, but I also wasn't going to go against his wishes. So we get Ray to the train station, and Selena gets out, and she walks him to the train, and she makes sure he gets on it, and she gives him a note, and she says, "Ray, please call me when you get back to Florida." And he says, "No." And she's like, "Please, Ray, just do it for me. I just want to make sure that you're okay." So anyway, he took the information, and that is the end of this story. So it's upsetting because Ray didn't have a cell phone on him, and honestly, if we had an AirTag, I probably would have threw it in his bag. Like, I know that's like probably against like some privacy stuff, but I was really concerned for this gentleman. But he was over 90. He got himself there for the most part, and he was ready to return home. I also did ask him, I said, "Ray, listen, do you plan on seeing your sister tomorrow?" Because I didn't want him traveling to the city to come all the way back out here with no train station near that hospital and then end up in the same situation. And he said he probably wouldn't be back, and this was probably the last time he would see his sister. So not the greatest story to be sharing, but there's people out there who could use your help, and I was thankful to be in that position to be able to help Ray and at least get him to see his sister and then get him back to the train station so he can make his way home. So if you're asking for abundance, it's going to come in ways that you're not expecting. You are not to determine how the money comes to you, but when it comes, you have to be open and receiving to it. So I hope this message helps you guys out, and if you see someone in need and you don't feel like you could be in any danger, sometimes you're being called by a higher power to be able to help people out, and I'm very thankful that I was able to do that. Me and my wife did a lot too. And when she got there and she walked in and Ray saw his sister and they were talking, his sister had no idea that he was on his way there. Selena was crying, and so I asked her if that Spanish woman was in there to make her cry too. So, we just chuckled about it, but I love you guys and I want you to be happy. But this thing that I was able to do for this gentleman brought me so much joy. It wasn't for me, it was for him. And Ray, I hope you make it home safe, and I hope you get to enjoy the rest of your life. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, listen, if that was me and I was in Florida and I was 90 years old, I probably would have sent my sister a postcard. Like, hey, listen, hope you're doing well." Because that's scary. Like, no fear. This guy went out, and I think that's the mindset of someone who, like Ray, is kind of still young at heart, like you don't have these fears of not being able to do these things. Like, without a cell phone, there's no way. I don't even like leaving the house without my phone in case I get stuck somewhere. And this guy left the state on buses. And if you've ever taken buses to and from Florida or anywhere out of state that's kind of far away, they transfer. They can transfer at like 1 o'clock in the morning. You just get to a stop and it's like, okay, you're here, wait until your next bus comes. So it's definitely a scary situation, but he survived it, man. So you can too. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever scary stuff you're dealing with, it's probably not as scary as what he had to go through, and he just did it. And so I was pretty amazed. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great Monday. Sorry this kind of took a little long, but if you made it to the end, I really appreciate your time, and I love you guys.